Hi there, it's a Friday. Welcome to Mansfield today. And being a Friday, we talk things motoring. Seggy Woodley is our motoring guru. Hello, Seggy. Nice to have you with us again.
Thanks, Jim. Nice to be here again.
Yeah. I was just having a look through a press release that came out this last week from the sales director of used vehicle retailer Auto Trader, Jansen Ponting. And he made a very good two very good points. He said upmarket German cars may have lost new car sales because of the recession, but that doesn't seem to have hurt their local allure. Now, he bases this on the first 6 months of Auto Trader's hits on particular vehicles on their site.
Okay.
And you will not believe it, but Mercedes-Benz, the four top German brands, Mercedes-Benz,
Audi,
BMW, and Volkswagen, still account for just on 60% of the hits on Auto Trader's site.
Okay. First, let's think about this, all right?
Yeah.
And Auto Trader is mostly second-hand and used cars.
Yeah.
So if you take that into account, then you are looking at people not looking at brand new cars, but able to buy good second-hand vehicles. And if you're taking Auto Trader, that means they're using just their footprint. They're using their footprint on the internet, or digital footprint.
Yeah.
And that's where they're getting those numbers from. So that's 100%. People are seeing that they can afford a second-hand luxury vehicle for almost half the price of a brand new one. And that's where Auto Trader are getting their footprint from.
Okay, well, let's bring in somebody here who knows a heck of a lot about this industry. He's been in it for years. I wasn't going to give away how many years Roy McAllister has been in the auto industry, and he's still in it. He's the CEO of Sandown. Roy, nice to have you with us on Mansfield today. Is this a trend that you guys are seeing with Mercedes-Benz in the Sandown group?
Thank you, Jeremy, for inviting me to be on the program today, and nice to meet you all. Yes, the trend, first of all, I must say that used cars generally the sales are a lot stronger, but I don't necessarily agree with the reasons for this. First of all, the demand that we have is to a large extent driven by a shortage of new product, especially in the price categories that we're talking about. The pandemic internationally has affected production, number one. Secondly, the shortage of semiconductors has had a negative effect on supply. And then one needs to look at, in our case, the shortage of C-Class in particular, and that's our biggest seller. We're due to introduce a new model in October this year, and at present stock is very thin. We have very few cars available. So the result of this is that the demand for used has increased dramatically. And it's interesting to note that the prices that we're achieving on used, particularly current year models, 2021, are in fact new car prices. The buyers are willing to pay to simply get those cars. Now, yes, there has been a buy down in the market, and obviously as a result of the pandemic and the effect it's had on businesses and on employment. So the demand is very strong, lower down, anything sub 500,000. There's huge demand there for our cars. And that, I think, is driven by affordability. Just as an aside, what's really interesting to me is that the upper end of the market is extremely strong. And we're talking cars of in excess of 3 million rand, where the demand outstrips the supply for us. And I find that intriguing. But having said that, I guess that to a certain extent, that this pandemic has afforded the opportunity for the establishment of new businesses. And we're seeing that, new entrepreneurs coming on stream. And then there are also others, and certainly in the lower end of the market particularly, that are finding that they have more disposable income, primarily as a result of not spending the kind of money that they would have spent 18 months ago. And that's on travel, it's on dining out, and that kind of thing. So yes, there's more disposable income.
I must say, about at the height of the pandemic, I had reason, for various reasons, to have to go into your Bryanston branch of Sandown. And what amazed me every time I was there, I was in there about, as I said, I think about 4 times. Every single time I was in that branch and waiting to get clearance to come in and all the rest of it, there were at least 2, if not 3 people on the floor looking at vehicles. And I was absolutely amazed by it. But it did then, the penny did drop. Look, not a hell of a lot of pennies drop around me, Roy. So when one drops, I take notice of it. But the penny did drop that there are a lot of people around who, there are 2 different segments. There is the segment that's hunting for a good deal and a used vehicle that's in good nick, and they're getting a really good price on it. But there's another segment of people who haven't done what is usual to them, taking the family skiing overseas in Europe, maybe going to the Seychelles for a holiday with their family or extended family, going away twice a year to Cape Town or Plettenberg Bay. They couldn't do it, and they're now looking at their vehicles and going, you know what, we may as well, we've got this excess money sitting here, it's lazy money, we may as well go out and buy the 1 or 2 cars that we actually need, because this one's warranty is coming to an end, or this one needs to be replaced. So
I think you mean 1 or 2 cars that they actually want. Because if you're looking at that caliber car,
Yeah.
it's not a need. It's
a
definitely a
want.
want. Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't get our holiday this year, so let's go and spend that money on something I really want.
Yeah.
Like a Lambo or a Ferrari or a Mercedes or something.
But it does show, Roy, that the allure, and what is it about the allure of brands like yours?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I guess it's really that luxury segment. It has a degree of exclusivity, and not least of all is the actual quality of the product. And clearly I'm subjective in this regard, but really if you look at our product and the other German cars, it's probably the best around. Having said that, and listening to you, Jeremy, I always remind my staff that we mustn't overlook the fact that we actually live in a bubble here. You know, this Sandton, Johannesburg area is really in a different category from the rest of the country. And Auto Trader is actually a national publication, so one has to take into account that they are actually recording the inquiries across the country. And clearly, the economy is markedly different here from the rest of the country. You know, when one talks about going on skiing holidays and they are not being able to do that, so spending the money elsewhere. I really, as a little anecdote, I went recently down to Zimbabwe with my wife, and coming back from from Durban, I needed to, I'd misjudged my refill, and we pulled into a little town, I'm not going to name the town, and it was absolutely devastating to see just the deterioration there and the absolute poverty, dare I say. And that was a very sobering experience for me. And I think we all overlook this somehow in these kind of discussions.
Yeah, very true. As you say, we do live in a bubble. I think there are certain sectors that are in their bubbles, and we don't necessarily see what's happening on the outside of that bubble. So very, very interesting. Look, I'm not going to ask you what your round of golf was like, because I'm not going to embarrass you totally, Roy. But thank you for taking time out to join us and share your thoughts with us. I really appreciate it. Roy McAllister is the CEO of Sandown. Siggy, any final thoughts on that?
Jerome, like you said, certain people are living in a bubble and they not worried about what's happening out around them. But there are a lot of people out there who still own Mercedes-Benzes and need to have it serviced, and they're out of the motor plans. So, the one thing I would really like to ask Roy is, what kind of deal is he doing for those people? People that own a Merc, used to be able to afford a service at Mercedes-Benz. Now they can't. And besides taking it to an aftermarket place, can they still take it to Mercedes-Benz and receive the same kind of treatment and get a bit of a discount on the stuff? Something like that.
Well, if Roy's still on the line, and I think he still is, Roy, would you like to address that particular issue?
Yes, certainly. It's a segment of the market that we've always tried to service, and unfortunately not very successfully. And we've had various promotions, and somehow it's been hard to match the kind of offers around. The interesting thing is that effective 1 July, the right to repair came in, which basically means that all service entities can now service franchised vehicles, and that of course presents a challenge for us, because clearly we want to retain our service customers, and in so doing, the various manufacturers have come up with some very intriguing schemes. I'm sure you've seen the advertisements on TV for genuine parts. And that's all about, number one, buying the genuine part, and that's really can be associated with the dealer, number one. But secondly, as far as the parts are concerned, there's a realization that if we want to get into that market, we've got to really look at pricing here. And I can honestly say that they've all focused their minds on this, and we're looking at better pricing. So I'm pretty confident that we will see an increase in the services that we are able to do for those older cars, that previously those services were relatively unaffordable for the owners. So
Okay,
I think
so
right to repair is a good thing.
Okay, well, Siggy, you know everybody in this industry. Let's take this on as a subject for next week. The right to
repair. Yes.
Right to repair.
You see, that's where this kind of next week we'll have
we
Gunther with us to explain.
Whoever Gunther is, you see, I told you he knows everybody in this damn business.
Yeah, so Gunther Schmidt, I think it is. I could be wrong with that, but he's the gentleman who's heading up the right to repair. So next week we'll have him on, and he'll give us a lowdown, or the whatever it is, on the right to repair. And then maybe Roy was not too happy about the right to repair because of the things that can affect his motor vehicles being repaired out of the Mercedes-Benz dealership. But hey, let's see whether it benefits the client or not.
Let's have a look at it. Yeah. Absolutely. Siggy, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
As usual, been a pleasure.
Once again, a big thank you to CEO of Sandown, Roy McAllister. That's it from Mansfield today. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you with the motoring section Friday next week once again.